Everybody knows that debt is bad and that you don't want to be in debt as much as possible. But what if I told you that as much as you want to get out of debt, that you could actually get out of debt too fast? What? That might sound counterintuitive. It might sound actually going against everything you ever thought about debt. Some people will tell you, get out of debt as fast as you can. And what I'm about to tell you is don't do that. Don't get out of debt as fast as you can. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. So make sure you watch to the end where I tell you a personal story about this very issue. My name is Paris Clough, and this is Financial Self-Reliance. On this channel, I love helping people manage, protect, and grow their money. And in this video, we're going to talk a lot about helping you manage your money so that you can learn to pay off your debts. Now, before you pay off your debts, there's 3 or 4 really good strategies to use to pay off your debts. But in my opinion, before you pay off your debts, there's some things that you need to do first. And in this video, I'm going to share with you those first few things that you need to do. And then I want to make sure that you subscribe to the channel because I'm going to share with you in the next video that I produce the 4 top ways to get out of debt as fast and as efficiently as possible. And a couple of those are some that you probably never even heard of. What I've created over the years, working with people, working with individuals, working with families, is I've created a real understanding of what it really takes to get out of debt and manage your money properly and to really protect your assets and grow those assets. So getting out of debt is a key element to creating and having a strong financial plan. Really, the idea is at the end of the day, you want to have a positive net worth. I created what are called the 7 steps to create lasting wealth. And in those 7 steps, the first step is your mindset. The first thing that you want to do before you get to creating a plan or strategy to get out of debt or sending a ton of extra money to a credit card, the first thing I want to have you do is get your mindset right. Why did you get into debt in the first place? What caused you to overspend? It was probably because you didn't have the second step under control, which is cash flow. Understanding how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. Do you have a budget that you're working with? A lot of people get tripped up about a budget because it's just not that exciting and they think that it's so restrictive. But really, a budget is a freedom that gives you the ability to know exactly how much money is coming in, exactly how much is going out, and then you can determine where you're going to allocate the difference. And hopefully, the idea is that you have more money coming in than what's going out. If you don't, then what you want to do is you want to really hone in on those expenses and bring those expenses down underneath what you're making so that you can actually have a buffer or a positive cash flow. So having a positive cash flow is critical to establishing a plan to get out of debt and to really to build your net worth and to really grow and create some wealth. The third step, I would say, is critical. And this is all before you even get your plan or figure out which plan you're going to use to get out of debt. This is the steps that you take. So the first step, mindset. Second, set a budget. The third thing you want to do though, save for emergencies. So one of the biggest problems is that I find a lot of people, they will take a ton of money and they'll put it towards their debt and they'll get out of debt only to have life hit them with some kind of problem or some kind of issue or some kind of emergency. Something hits them where they weren't expecting it. And what do? And because they didn't have any money in savings, they had to put everything back on a credit card to be able to live. So what I share with people is to get a savings account, get an emergency fund, build that emergency fund to 3 months. There's a guy out there that's pretty popular and he talks a lot about getting that first $1,000 saved. And that's okay, I suppose. That's if you're going to start somewhere, at least get the $1,000. But my personal recommendation is get at least 1 month. 1 full month of all of your expenses in a savings account somewhere. Then work on the second month, then work on the third month and the fourth month and so on. Now, after you've got that first full month of savings, you got a buffer zone, if you will. If something hits, you got that month of money that you have there that you can use to pay for things. You don't have to use the MasterCard or the Visa or the Discover American Express to pay for the emergency that hit you. You have savings now. You have money already set aside to pay those things so you don't go back into debt or go into bigger amounts of debt. Once you have your mindset set right, you understand why you got into debt in the first place so that changes your habits so that you don't get into debt ever again. Second, setting your budget. Third, get a savings account with an emergency fund. Now you're finally ready to pick a strategy to get out of debt. Now there's 4 major strategies to get out of debt and I'm going to explain to those in more detail in the next video that I produce. But the main ones that everybody knows is the Avalanche and the Snowball. And I'm going to share with you one that's called the Cash Flow Index. And then I'm going to share with you something called debt settlement that's pretty powerful for the right person. So once you finally have all this set up, you're ready to pick the strategy that you want to get out of debt. No matter what strategy you choose, whether it's the strategy Snowball, Avalanche, Cash Flow Index, or if it's debt negotiation, the main things you want to do to set up yourself so that you're in a proper place to pick the right strategy is you want to make sure that you have all of your debtors listed out, the amounts of money that you owe, and all of the interest rates that you're paying on all of those things. So you want to have, who do you owe the money to? Let's say it's Visa. Let's say you have 3 or 4 Visas. Write it down. Visa 1, Visa 2, Visa 3. Let's say you have a MasterCard. Let's say you have a car loan. Let's say you have a personal loan or a payday loan. Whatever it is, list it all out. Put it all in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the debts. And then how much the total balance is, then what the minimum payment is, then the interest rate you're paying, and now you're finally ready to pick a strategy. And I'm going to share with you more about the strategies in the next video that I produce. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. I'm going to share with you a personal story at this point that's going to prove my point about how you don't want to get out of debt too fast. So I got super excited a couple years ago, actually several years ago. I got super excited because I had a car payment, and the amount of money that I owed on the car was the exact dollar amount that I actually had in my emergency fund. And I thought to myself, this car is running great, everything's going well. I can pay my car off, and then I'll have that cash flow. I'll have the monthly payment that I was paying on my car. I won't have that anymore. And so I took my total savings, the total amount of money that I had in my savings account, and I paid off my car loan. And I was excited. I got the title, I got the pink slip. I mean, I was super excited to have paid off my car. I finally had paid it off. I didn't have a monthly payment. Well, guess what happened the following month? You guessed it. I actually had, I think it was my transmission or one of the belts went out. And it was literally an $1,800 expense. So if I had had that money in savings, I could have paid that off and I would have still had my monthly payment for about 6 more months, but I wanted to pay it off early. And because I was so zealous to pay it off early, I ended up having to go right back into debt. And thankfully I didn't have a monthly payment, so I could, put that monthly payment towards that debt. But it was so frustrating to think to myself, I literally just paid this thing off, and the very next month a belt goes out or the transmission goes out or something, and it was $1,800. And if I had just kept that savings, I would have been able to pay for that cash. My car would have been fine. My budget was okay. It wasn't a burden to have that monthly payment. I just counsel you to be wise and be prudent and be temperate with your finances, because you never know when that emergency is going to hit, and you're going to want to have that money on hand. You don't want to have to go back into debt and put money on a credit card. And by the way, if you follow interest rates, you'll know that a credit card interest rate is way more than a car loan interest rate. When I had to get a loan to pay for that $1,800, I was paying a much higher interest rate than I would have had I just kept my car payment going. And so I'm just telling you, don't get out of debt too fast. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got a lot out of it. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel, subscribe, so that you don't miss the next video I produce about the 4 ways to get out of debt and the actual strategies to actually do that, and a breakdown of how those all work. So if you missed the last video I produced, you can catch it here. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel up here and check out this video up here that YouTube thinks you might like. Until the next video, have a fantastic day.